Hi, brothers. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Anytime you're listening to this, welcome back to the Judgment Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about slaying the beast. Slaying the beast. Slaying the beast is a concept I got from a parable of Jesus in Matthew chapter 13. I'm reading from verse 24. Yep. From verse 24, he gave a parable there. It says, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that sows good seed in his field. And then he goes on to say, while men slept, an enemy came and sowed tears. And then the good man gave a statement. He said, let both grow together. When I say beast, when I talk about the beast, I'm talking of the concept of these tears that the enemy sows in our lives as young men, and they grow with us, and then they choke the good things and the good virtues that God has placed in us. I'll come out straight. The greatest virtue you can have as a young man is to be godly. There are many other virtues, right? You are loyal, you are strong, you are stable, other things, good. But the greatest virtue is godliness. And why do I say godliness? The greatest attack of the devil is in the area of godliness. Check it. When they pump in billions of dollars into movie industry, it is just to promote defilement. Yeah, Satan attacks finance, he attacks health, he attacks marriage, other areas. But for young men, check it, vast majority of media is designed to promote defilement. Satan wants a generation of men that are defiled through these little things called vices. These subtle seeds are planted in the lives of people that we ignore. Sometimes we just say, I'll outgrow this thing, I'll outgrow this thing. You don't outgrow darkness. What do I mean by that? Darkness doesn't go because of time spent. Darkness goes because you expose it to light. This is the truth. When you leave darkness unattended to, it grows. So, think about this word, scandal. When you hear the word scandal, does not happen to ordinary men. True or false? True. You can't be an ordinary man achieving nothing, doing nothing, and then they say you have a scandal. You don't. Scandal is when stupid things happen to great men. So your strengths are growing. You're sharpening your skill as a public speaker. You're sharpening your skill as a tech guy. You are sharpening your skill. You are gaining degrees. You are growing up, climbing up the corporate ladder. You're increasing in influence. At the same time, that shubokon, let me use that word Yoruba says. Shubokon means a but. That hidden thing that you know that is dirty and is part of your life is also growing. And you reach a point where people look up to you. You are this big, massive figure. But Satan relaxes because he knows, well, I still have a fifth column. I have something inside this guy that when the time is right, I can trigger it. And then what do you hear? Scandals. So as young men who really want to do great things for God, you must pay attention. What are those things in my life that I'm allowing to grow? What are those things in my life that I am not paying attention to? The problem with these vices is that it's not what they do in the present, it's the possibilities they create in the future. So I'll explain. A young man might start off fantasizing. I was there. I had a messed up mindset, like I would always say. I could just create dirty images in my head and derive pleasure from it. So a young man might just start off with just thoughts, thinking dirty things about people. Some people can even undress a full community in their mind. They see you like this in their head, they don't know what they want to do. And it's just a harmless thing now. Maybe it's just me and my thoughts. It will graduate. And before you know it, it becomes maybe pornography. And before you know it, it becomes fornication, adultery. Before you know it, it becomes sexual assault. Before you know it, it becomes pedophilia. It can grow into anything. That's what I mean by possibilities. So that little room that we allow Satan take of just playing with our thoughts can grow into so many other things. Some people is greed financially. Your eye is always on every other person's thing. Always on every other person's thing. Always on, see, this one is making it, this one is making it. There's a difference between motivation and greed, though. It's not the same. You can look at how people are being successful and be motivated. Like, okay, I want to do better as a man. But sometimes you just look at what people are doing and like, see me. I just did here, see these guys. Starts off that way. Satan just needs a foothold. And that's what I mean by slaying that beast. You must expose it to the light. You must take it seriously because it is serious. If Satan can defile you, then that's it. I would end with the first statement I made. Godliness is the greatest virtue you can have as a man. Look at men like Joseph now. I think of them and they give me joy. Joseph, Daniel. Joseph, you know his story, a slave in the house of Potiphar. Potiphar's wife hitting on him. Potiphar's wife was obviously beautiful. How do I know that? Potiphar was a high-ranking Egyptian official. So men like that, they have a harem of women, beautiful women, and out of them, they pick the best to be their wife. So probably a beautiful, smoking hot lady. Joseph was doing well in Potiphar's house already. I mean, was already making his mark, climbing up the corporate ladder, was the head of all the slaves. And here comes fringe benefits. Madame comes to him, come on, Joe, let's just have fun together. Nobody will know. And Joseph said, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Those are men. If Satan can get your appetite, he can get your life. Yeah, if he can control your appetite, he will control your life. So pay attention. Pay attention to these things that are important. Pay attention. Go to God in prayer, number 1. Number 2, expose it to somebody. I like what Jesus said in John chapter 3. He says, everyone that doeth evil does not come to the light. He said, lest his deeds be reproved. So it simply means everything bad grows in darkness. Once you bring it to the light, so many of us, Satan threatens you, like, how can you tell people this is what you are doing? How can you tell people? How can you are dying? You are dying if you continue. Those fear is to keep you in bondage. And as I said, bondage doesn't go because of time. I know people who are, one man was sharing a sad testimony. He was hooked on, pornography. So I use that pornography because I've experienced it, and the number of young men that are hooked on this is scary. So this man was saying he has been addicted for almost 60 years of his life. You'd expect that after some years, come on, I'll drop this thing, I'll grow it, I'll get married, I'll move on. No, monsters do not go because of time. So I said be deliberate about it. You have to turn to the Lord genuinely in repentance. And then number 2, you have to expose it to life. Talk to somebody. Talk to him. If you have good relationships with your father, talk to your dad. That's who I spoke with. I spoke with my dad. I spoke with my mentor. And then I spoke with a few of my brothers. This is what I'm struggling with. Talk with your father. If you have a pastor, speak to your pastor. You have a mentor, speak to your mentor. Don't keep quiet. The beast wants you to be silent so it can grow. The last thing I'll say on this is, why must you deal with this now? You must deal with it now, because if you don't, you will replicate it in your children. The book of Genesis, God set an order. He says everything will reproduce after its kind. So you will produce after your kind. If you have the vices of the enemy in your life, whatever it is, anger, greed, lust, whatever, laziness, lasciviousness, you will produce children like that, and they will be 10 times worse, because they will inherit all your strengths and inherit all your weaknesses and multiply it, because your children will always be greater than you. That's our prayer, is that not it? So that's why you have to deal with it now. If you are single, you have an opportunity. And I pray for you that the Lord will help you. And help me, and help all of us. As I pray for you, pray for me too. Brothers, we need prayer. We need prayer. There's a massive assault out there in our life on our sanctification. Sanctification. Because as I said, you lose godliness, forget the rest you have. It will be corrupted. So that's it for today. That's a thought I'd like to leave with you. Yeah, to get